Yes, hello world! Your sisters are here, ready, open, and as fabulous as possible. These are your sweets, Makeda
and Melanie.
And you're now listening to Girl
What?
Okay, we start every episode with a drink of the day. Melanie, what's our drink?
Well, I have a drink, but I'm not the one that's naming it.
Oh, yes! Our guest is naming the drink. So let's have our guest introduce herself and name our drink.
Hi, I am Ernisha Randolph. I'm the CEO of Sweet Butter Hospitality Group, and I'm so glad to be here with Girl What? Did I say it right?
You did.
And I guess I'll name this drink, let me see.
She's on the spot, y'all.
Let me see. A sweet thing?
All right.
A sweet thing.
A sweet thing. That's what it is.
Sweet thing.
Are we singing?
That's
Y'all, Makeda is back in the cave. So who knows what's going to happen today, baby? You know when the two of us get together,
anything can happen.
It gets real goofy.
Yes.
Anyway, I'm super excited to have our guest here.
Yay.
She's super cute, y'all. Y'all can't see her, but y'all will see her after we take pictures. So before we bring her into the conversation, we are going to do our
M&M moment.
And I'm going to let Makeda go first.
So, in news, in M&M, Makeda's world, I have just become the Regional Finance Director for Sean Shaw's campaign.
Big thing.
Woo!
Woo! Wait, a round of applause.
A round of applause. And, I mean, it's official. There was actually a post in Florida Politics about Sean's staffing, and I was one of two people that's been added to the team. Super excited about that. You know, it's time to rock. I'm actually, you know, in other news to segue that is that I am officially back in South Florida.
I'm happy about that. Did I say I'm happy about that? Did I say that already?
Yes, because I have not been here literally for 2 months? Yeah. Maybe longer than that?
Oh my.
So I've been just calling in. It's a different dynamic.
Technology to make it happen.
We do what we have to do, and I'm so glad to be back here. I have a huge lift to make because, you know, this can be something historical. If he wins, which we believe he will be the first African-American Attorney General for the state of Florida.
So, yeah, we need to make sure that happens.
Yes. And we try not to necessarily talk, Politics. Well, we do. But we try not to take we try to be nonpartisan. So.
We do?
Ish.
Oh.
Ish.
I don't think so.
Okay, well, I'm saying
clear.
that. Yeah, well, we're Democrats, so.
What? I
am. And so, that's the biggest news.
That's all you got?
That's all I'm gonna keep it to that because I definitely want to get into
what we talking
conversations with our
guests. So, my moment. Melanie's moment. Let's see. Decor trends. Let's keep up with the tradition. Pampas grass is back. For those of you that don't know what pampas grass is, follow me on Instagram at Shinshik Decor, and you'll see what it is. We used to have it way back in the day. Your mama had it in a vase somewhere, and it's back.
Really?
Yes, it's back. So the notion of in or out, what's in and what's out in decor, that notion is gone bye-bye. Now it's all about personalizing and how you feel in your home. And believe it or not, the trends are going towards more cozy, soft, warm, relaxed, luxurious, and easy. Home entertainment is coming back, baby.
Ooh.
Because of everything that's going on in the world, I think.
Oh, yeah. People want to stay home.
It's very important now that you make your house a home.
Mm-hmm.
And, I know we're all entrepreneurs, so slowing down is challenging. But at least when you're home,
yes,
it needs to feel like home.
Right.
And bring it back in-house.
Yeah.
Okay? So that's what's trending in decorating news. My store, my online store, I have some new inventory. Check me out, www.shinsheetdecor.com. And my most important news that I've been waiting to tell, and I'm going to tell today.
Ooh, what's that?
Dun, dun, dun.
Dun, dun, dun.
I am going to be a charter member of the first chapter of Alpha Kappa Alpha in Miramar, Florida. And so I am one of the 58 that will be chartering
Wow.
a chapter. And for those of you that are not in South Florida, this is like a big deal. Miramar is like where pretty much everybody lives. Mm-hmm. And so we have a Miami chapter. We have a Fort Lauderdale chapter. We have a chapter in Plantation, I believe. A chapter in, what's the other one? Coral Springs?
Coral Springs.
So Miramar is like, you know, the new up and coming, not up and, well, kind of, it's evolving, it's growing. I went to high school in Miramar, which was even more monumental for me. So yes, next Sunday, those of you that are local, next Sunday we will have our chartering luncheon at 11:30 for non-active members of Alpha Kappa Alpha. If you are an active member, you are a financial member. We also are having our ceremony that begins at 9:30 in the morning, and it's going to be held at the Signature Grand. And yeah, the cool thing is that some of my family members are doing it with me, which is pretty awesome. And my mom, cool. Those of you who have been listening to the show, you know that my mom passed like 4 years ago. She was also an AKA. So this is like a big deal for me. So I'm excited about that.
It's coming. It's all coming back.
It's all coming back. And it just gives me an opportunity to do more in the community.
Absolutely.
At the end of the day. So, hot topics.
Hot topics. Well, I'm going to keep it non-political.
And we're going to bring our guests into this conversation.
Well, the only thing that I have is that I want to make not an announcement, but if for those that don't know, again, most of our listeners are South Florida, but we are growing. I want to congratulate the 65 Elements of Fortitude.
Oh, yeah.
Those are the new initiates for 2018 with the Miami alumni chapter of Delta Sigma Theta Sorority. Woo! Congratulations.
Yes, that is Tracy Morney.
Tracy Morney.
Was on that line.
Sabrina Fulton. And there's, I don't know too many of the people, but I saw a lot of our sorors out there to support. Now we do support one another. So
which honestly, it comes back to when I was talking about the decorating moment about how it's time to bring it back in and bring it back home. To me, it just feels like it's starting to feel like how it used to be. Mm-hmm. And I think people are seeing in our community that there is a need.
There is an absolute need
to bring it back. Bring it back home, focus, refocus, which is part of the reason why we have Ernisha here. So, it's all about Greek love, unity, no matter what you choose.
So congratulations. Welcome to Greekdom. I've been here almost a year.
Yeah. You're almost out of Neo.
I'm almost out of Neo.
But you're still in Neo.
True.
All right. So I had a few things that I'll touch on. And if y'all want to touch on it when I touch on it, then go ahead. First thing, Black Panther passes Titanic.
Woo!
Super excited.
Wow.
Super excited.
Black Power. That's all I'm saying. All day.
Wakanda forever.
Cardi B reveals her baby bump.
Yes, I did see that.
People may not realize it, but in the rap industry and the music industry, that's like in the entertainment industry, that's like a really huge, big deal.
Yes, it is.
Because I saw Remy Ma, who's like one of my favorite rappers. Don't judge me, but she is.
No, I love her.
She was commending Cardi B because she said she knows the struggles that she went through and the other artists have gone through. She actually waited or didn't want to reveal that she had children or was pregnant
Right.
because of the industry.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, kudos to Cardi B. That's my
Listen,
ratchet boo.
yeah.
I'm sorry.
Mine too. Mine too.
You know, it is, you know, unfortunately, you know, that's why we created this show, to empower one another,
That's it.
to empower women. And I think there is a whole evolution of us trying to move forward with Me Too movements and all of these different areas where we're trying to empower one another.
Right.
What I love about Cardi B, one, she's extremely entertaining.
And
Yes,
raw.
she is.
And raw with it. But on top of that, she's also kind of like teetering with like bringing in values.
Yes.
Like she's showing you can be an entertainer, a female, and get, you know, have a proposal and is wanting to get married and start a family.
And it doesn't matter where you start.
And it doesn't
how you
matter.
start. But she
And
lets you know, just because I used to trip don't mean I was
Exactly.
everybody.
Listen, she talks very candidly about her evolution, and I think with our climate and how we are how we look at, you know, how our young people are operating nowadays, it's like we need leaders like that.
Yeah.
She's a leader. She doesn't even realize it.
I love her. Cardi B, I love you.
Yes.
You're my
Me
ratchet
too.
boo. We all love you.
I love you, Cardi.
Love you, love you, love you. I saw, I think it was an Instagram post with Oprah, and she had...
Wasn't that awesome?
She had listening to Cardi B's new album.
Yes.
Yeah, I downloaded it today.
About
That's
fell
right.
out.
If Auntie O co-signs,
Okay.
Listen, she good.
Come on.
Okay.
She good in those streets.
Okay, on the flip, I didn't have this on the list, but on the
Okay.
flip, what y'all think about Snoop entering into the gospel industry?
I love it.
That's it at the same time.
I love
too.
it. It's
I love
great.
it.
It's
I absolutely
great.
love it. And all the haters can just stop. Okay?
Yeah.
Just stop.
They gotta stop.
Stop
We
judging.
can't. We have to have the doors open for everyone to want to
It's
feel
time.
comfortable to come in.
Our kids need us.
Exactly.
Yes. Look,
time.
I was brought up as a Rasta, but my parents allowed me to go and visit churches with my friends that were, you know,
Mine too.
Baptist. So there is like that. There is a need for
It's time to bring it
openness
back.
and allowing folks to be okay with like,
Yeah.
I go to church.
Absolutely.
You know, I have
How it
this
used to
type
be
of
how we were,
denomination.
With the way that things are going now, and you know, it seems like children have lost just about every brain cell, let alone morals and values. And I think we need a lot more positivity. So if Snoop is going to gospel, then you know, maybe it is a little acceptable for me as a child or a teen to, you know, accept you know, that lifestyle again. The church maybe isn't so, you know, so much of a thing of a past, and you know, it's like we
have,
need it.
you know, our communities are craving some type of stability, some type of like, how do we fit? Where do we see ourselves? And I mean, no matter what it is that you know, what your spiritual or religious beliefs are, we need to allow that entity to be a part of our normal lives.
And people need to know, and I mean, we know, but children need to know that there are imperfect people in church, and you are accepted. The notion of you have to be perfect to go to church, or for people to embrace you, or when you go, they turn their nose up at you, needs to go away.
Absolutely. I have to say, I am a member of Fountain of New Life. Shout out to Fountain of New Life. What I loved was you don't have to be formal to go. And that was one of the only stipulations that I have. But I like to get dressed up, don't get me wrong, but I don't want to feel like I can only be
you want to come
completely
as you are.
done up to go there, and that's what I like. And I like that they try to participate and do things within the community. So shout out to Fountain of New Life and Pastor Lomax. If any of you guys want to,
shout out to Christ the Rock Community Church. Same deal. They do the same deal, and I love them because I've learned so much. I mean, I've learned a lot throughout my journey at all churches. But the key is to find a church where you feel at home, and that you're not judged.
Yes,
absolutely.
Yes,
and that you're growing, because that's what it is. The spiritual walk is a journey, and you're always learning, and you're always growing, and you're always evolving.
Great,
and you know that's what it's about.
Yeah. I know.
So, 50 years, MLK was shot.
I know. Wednesday, right?
Wednesday.
50 years.
Mm-hmm.
50 years.
Yep.
50 years. And how have we really come far?
It doesn't seem like it at times. I mean, well, these days,
Yeah.
oftentimes. I think in some areas maybe, but you know, the climate of America and American politics, and you know, with the relation between us and police, and you know, it's just it seems really, really bad at times. I hear a lot of people talking about, you know, repatriating to different countries, and you know, so it's, you know, it's rough.
It's rough.
Yeah, it is.
But I think what makes it easier, and I think all three of us can attest to it, is when you focus on your purpose, your God-given purpose.
Yes.
Then it's not that you become oblivious to what's going on. It's just that your mission in life is different. Like you focus more on what can I do to better the situation versus harping on what's so horrible about where we live.
Yeah. And I think I'm feeling an immediate evolution within myself, because I know when I do my segment, it's been mainly political. And I've noticed that it's like, you know what? Sometimes I just want to get some good news. I just want to share what's positive, because I think even our social media and our political climate is kind of focused on the doom and gloom.
Yeah.
And sometimes we need to, you know, show that, no, there is good things that
There's
are taking place. And it's a lot of good things. 100%. So I'm working on that within myself. Like, you know, I don't want to keep talking about 45. Right. We know he's a disaster. We know that he's
I don't
doing.
Talk about him anymore.
You know,
It's funny because before the show, like, I always try to do a little research about, and when we first started, we were really like, every time something happens, like, we're in on it, and it's like, I actually Googled like top news. And I'm reading, I'm like, oh, everything. It's the same thing. Same old thing. Trump making and doing whatever, not listening to nobody. You know, it's a disaster. Somebody done left and left the White House. It's the same story, right? So I'm not even gonna.
So with all of that being said, I think where I want to hone in on is reminding people that our votes are what's really important.
That is real.
Absolutely.
We just need to get ourselves educated about what's happening. We know what's happening. We know what the media is showing us. But what we should not lose focus on the fact that our right is to vote people in and out of office that agrees or don't agree with the way that we want to live our lives.
Sure.
So I think I'll probably be more mindful of, okay, here's what's happening, or this is a ballot initiative. I think we need to know, at least on a local level, what's happening. How are things affecting us from the ground up?
Right. There's just two other things that I wanted to mention, and you just brought up a very good point. But before I get to that, there is something that you all need to be aware of. The CEO of Facebook is going to testify this week. And the reason why they're asking him to come before Congress is because they want to know, they want to find out information as to how political entities have gotten information from Facebook. So this is something that, aside from, you know, Trump and his foolishness, this is something we need to be aware of, because we are all heavy social media users. And so we need to hear and listen in for the facts as to how our information is being used and processed.
Wow. Well, you know, to be fair, our information is being bought and sold. How it's happening, we don't necessarily know. But I will say, about 2008, when I was a union organizer, it was one of those indirect but direct conversations I was having with the officers, because I was working with a union to help organize TSA. Now, those are supposed to be our federal law enforcement, folks at the airport. And I remember having conversations where we had to keep reminding them, like, the things that you do on social media, you have to be very careful of because, your bosses are looking. The White House is looking. Exactly. And there had been instances back then, now we're talking 10 years ago, where I remember an officer in Tampa had said something, as if they wanted to cause harm to the president, and the Secret Service was at their door within a few days. So all I'm saying is that it's being used. We just don't know how. Yeah. And now that it's kind of really starting to reveal itself, we have to be mindful of the stuff. And even recently, if you do some research on Google, all of a sudden now you see all of these different advertisements about the things that you were looking up. And I don't think that we're really paying it any attention.
Which goes back to the point, it's time for you all to start living on purpose.
Yeah.
Use it on purpose.
Yeah.
Use it on purpose. Mm-hmm. Okay, so then the last thing, I have to commend the mayor of Miramar.
Yes.
Mayor Messam, because I think on either the last show or the show before the last, we were talking about, I think I asked the question, I don't get how these gun reform laws or this gun reform, how do things change so fast? Mm-hmm. And within the last 2 weeks, I believe there were 10 mayors who decided that they are filing a lawsuit against who am I talking about? The governor of Florida. The governor of Florida.
Yes.
Rick Scott. Mm-hmm. And the reason why is because in the 1980s, there was a law that passed that restricts local commissioners from having any involvement in gun reform.
Yeah.
And if they go up against them, they are fined a minimum of $5,000. Personally.
And some other things.
So that's
and I believe jail time.
Yes.
Wow.
So that's how.
That's a bit extreme.
Well, the NRA has been working its channels for a long time. And it's so funny because I think historically, in the 50s or 60s, it was actually trying to do the right thing when it came to gun reform. And then one of the new presidents somewhere around that time just came in and changed it. Just changed it into the NRA that we know today. So at some point, it was actually there to do the right thing when it comes to gun reform and restrictions and was all for those things. I can't remember exactly. We're kind of always talking off cuff. So, but yeah, the NRA wasn't always the NRA that it is today.
So who knows what other things exist that are they blocked certain things and certain things from changing locally.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Because of, to me, it's you're controlling.
Yeah.
It's like a dictatorship.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Really and truly, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And I'm like, wow. So again, I am so grateful and thankful for Mayor Messam. And the other mayors that have collaborated with him to do this, because who knows the backlash that they're catching from it.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And it says a lot, It
does.
It says a lot. But again, back to Makeda's point, y'all, we got to vote.
Yes,
if we don't vote, all of these things are just going to continue to happen. And I'm loving our young people that are stepping up from all across the country that are now seeing for themselves how important that part is. In Florida, you can register to vote at 16. You just can't actually vote until 18. So, for all of our parents, for all of our, everyone that listens, please get your children when they turn 16 to sign up. If you guys want to organize some type of voter registration at the high schools, there's plenty of organizations that are out there to help. And, those are the steps in a positive direction.
And I think every show we're going to continue to mention, go vote. Y'all got to vote.
Go vote. That's the most important thing that we have.
We don't have a voice if you don't vote. We have to vote.
Exactly.
We have to. 18 and up, everybody has to vote.
And it's your right. It is your God-given right as a United States citizen.
Absolutely.
So, on that note,
now, we're going to move to our beautiful guest. And so we're going to have Ernisha tell us about her brand, about her motivation behind it. And I'm just going, this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to say a quote.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think that'll kind of get you to start talking. Okay. So I found a quote, because I don't want to lead you in a blind. I want you to be able to talk. Okay. So I found a quote, and the quote was by Victor Kiam. And for those of you who don't know who that is, he's the former owner of New England Patriots. And he was also an owner of Remington Products. He was a big TV spokesperson for Remington Products. So the quote says, entrepreneurs are simply those who understand that there is a little difference between obstacle and opportunity and are able to turn both to their advantage.
I agree. I agree with that quote. I absolutely love it. And, I wish people would kind of internalize that a little bit more, because greatness is around all of us. And I think some people, they oftentimes look at entrepreneurs and those who they consider to be successful. They look at that group like, oh, you're so lucky, or you're so blessed. You're so much more blessed than I am, or, you have something that I don't have. And I just don't believe that to be true. I believe that everyone has greatness within them in their own area. I'm one who believes that there's more than enough for everyone, because we all don't want the same things. We don't have the same gifts. We don't have the same skills. We don't have the same aspirations. While some people have a desire to live in a mansion, some people just want to live in a nice one-story house with a white picket fence, a dog, and they're fine. So I think that there's room for all of us, and I kind of live my life inspiring others. I get a kick out of it. I absolutely love when other people succeed as well. So my journey with entrepreneurship started when I was 8 years old. And
you hear that? 8.
And I started a candy house. I was like the little candy lady storehouse. And that grew from selling candy to and that was all my idea. I had to beg my parents to buy me some candy because they were so stingy. They would not, my parents would not give us anything that we wanted. It seemed like, at that time. And that grew from selling candy, and I've always been cooking. I've always been an amazing cook. So I started selling chicken and fries at my house because the store was so far for us to walk where we can purchase that. So I'm like, well, I can sell it at the house, and and everybody bought it. I ended up making about $500 a week.
Wow!
And so I was rich.
Yeah,
and,
girl.
Yes.
Well, by this time, I was maybe about 10, 11, or 12. Yeah, by the time I started selling the chicken and fries. But I got my first taste in entrepreneurship. Then I wanted to be a teenager, so I stopped and got into a whole bunch of trouble. And I had a baby when I was 14. So that shook my family up like big time. I mean, it was bad. I was a church girl. We grew up in church. And, now here I am, like, not only the embarrassment of my family, embarrassment of the church. I grew up in the Church of God in Christ. So that was like an organization. And we went from church to church. So it was really, really, really bad. But when I was in the 12th grade, all of these young girls at church and in the neighborhood were looking up to me. And I was like, you know what? I don't want them to look up to me and see, and think, oh, well, she had a baby and her life is turning out good and now she's going to college and now she's driving a car and, so how about I kind of like, train them the right way. So I started a nonprofit called Young Ladies of Integrity when I was 19.
Wow.
And I just gathered those little girls and right at my mama's house under the carport in the driveway, just started mentoring them and, just teaching them things and they listened. So I gathered some of my friends. I'm like, come on, y'all, let's go ahead and get with the girls and do right. So that lasted until I started my catering business with my grandmother called Juanita's Kitchen. So we went through a really, really bad time period. My mom passed of breast cancer, and my great-grandmother passed like 2 months before her. So my grandma decided, I'm just going to pack up and leave. She was taking care of both of them, going from home to home. And she's like, a lot is going on right now. I'm just going to pack up and leave. And we had already, the family was always cooking, always doing dinner sales and things like that. So, we kind of beat around the idea of her starting a catering company. And she's like, well, let's go ahead and do that. But I'll help you as long as you need me to. But you need to, take over and do your thing. Because I'm retiring and I'm done. So, thank God, all these years, 10, I believe it's 10 years incorporated. Later, now she's still in the kitchen. Still, we can't make her get out now. But that was kind of my journey. So while I always had a desire to help people, I've always had a desire to serve people. I've always loved to cook. Never knew that I would end up in the food industry. I went to school for business and then hospitality management. So I figured, I would be somewhere within hospitality because of, my desire to help and serve. But I didn't know I would be where I am now. And that catering company ended up growing to Sweet Butter, which is my hospitality group.
Yes.
So now, up under the Sweet Butter umbrella, we have the catering company. I have a product-based company, where we create desserts or any type of product in restaurants, purchase them from us. So a lot of the restaurants people go to, they're actually eating our foods and our desserts. So, we have that company under the umbrella and a new takeout restaurant called Shuckin' and Jive, and that'll be opening in another month in Miami Gardens.
Wow.
So, Sweet Butter has, it's kind of...
It has blossomed.
The evolution of Sweet Butter is just crazy because just last year it was pop-up restaurants that I was hosting. And, this year I'm like, look, this just needs to turn into a hospitality group. I will create the concept and, draw out and map out the blueprint for it. And then, we'll get a CEO, get someone to run it, and let's move on to the next project. So thank God that's where I am now.
Wow.
That's awesome.
That is amazing.
That's awesome.
And you're also very involved politically as well. Do you want to share with us some of that association?
So I, people, they were calling me an activist, but I think for my own mental health and stability, I used to, do all like you were mentioning, posting all this stuff and, updating everybody. Come on, y'all, we got to do something about this. And I was like, you know what? This can drain you mentally. I even see my friend, V, she's an activist. And I'm so worried for her because,
Valencia?
it's like, Valencia. Because it's like, it's always something new and you're trying to gather everyone and make everyone care. And then there are people who care and there's not much they can do. That's not their lane. And, it begins to get so overwhelming. So what I did was I decided to, just take a step back from being, marching on the streets. I'm talking all out activists. I was one of the ones that shut I-95 down. Remember?
Yes.
Oh, yeah. I think I was there that year.
Yes.
Yeah, I was.
So it's not that I won't do it now. I will do me a good march and protest and boycott. And there's some products I'm still boycotting. But what I did is I decided not to talk so much about it on Facebook. Yeah. But talk more about solutions that are more easily obtainable for people. So voting, just making sure that I promote the candidates that I know and trust and believe in, because the reality is most people do follow and they don't care to research, and and that's another thing that being an activist, it can be very frustrating because you want people to research, go to these meetings and care, and and they just not gonna do it. Yeah. If you give me a paper saying vote for this, I'll go in that ballot and I will bubble in all of those names, and we have to realize that. So, just not being so, headstrong regarding it, and just making sure that I am being more of an example. And I'm also the president of the Young Professionals Network of Miami. Okay. Of the Miami-Dade Chamber of Commerce. So everything young professionals, making sure that we are progressing in our chosen careers or entrepreneurially and things like that. I'm there to be that motivation, that push. So That's it.
It's funny that you say that because that's kind of, Makeda will tell you, I'm like, I think I got it in my genes because my mom was one that went to jail trying to integrate her school, which she did successfully, but it's in my genes.
Yeah.
And before we started this podcast, I used to ask God, give me a platform.
Right.
So that my voice is heard other than my post on Facebook where people judge you or people, they think you're this angry person and they don't really know, they don't hear your voice. They don't hear your passion. All they see is the words. So I asked God for about, I would say a year or two. I was like, God, please give me a platform to where people can hear my voice and where I'm really coming from.
Right.
And my mission is really to empower people
exactly.
to act, to live on purpose. And I'm not this hateful person who just is angry. Yeah. That's not who I am. So then God gave us Girl What. So that's kind of, this suffices my desire to want people to hear the importance of acting. Because on Facebook, you'll get lost in the sauce.
Yes, and the thing is, too, is it's just like texting. Like, it's all in the interpretation.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Like, people are going to see these texts. Sometimes they're long, some long rants on a particular subject that we're passionate about. And we are, because of our, our position, we're looked at the angry black woman.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And so I think this was a way to detach from that. And especially sometimes when we incorporate the Facebook live videos, then people will know, okay, we're just trying to help build up our community. But it's hard. It's not, everyone can't do it. Mm-hmm. And so, it's really interesting that you say that not only are you a successful entrepreneur, but you're also an activist. So I think that is also something that's really encouraging because people need to know that you can be successful in business and be an activist at the same time. And I think some of our other, role models that are showing this same, drive, Colin Kaepernick, Beyonce and Jay-Z. Mm-hmm. And it's it's more and more of those, our black leaders and entertainers and folks that, we all look up to are starting to understand that there is a need to not only lead, be successful, but also inform, educate us.
Exactly. And I think entrepreneurs or people that are thinking about becoming entrepreneurs, I know a lot of entrepreneurs that chase the money. Mm-hmm. They don't necessarily chase what they were put on this earth, what God designed them to do. They chase what is going to bring me the money. Mm-hmm. And that's fine. I mean, if that's what you want to do, that's fine. But for me, and I'm sure you all could elaborate, for me, when it's something in your soul that you were put on this earth to do, you don't even think about the money.
Right.
It's more about the purpose. You're trying to fulfill your purpose that God gave you.
Right.
It's a whole nother dynamic. And when I went to, when Oprah came here, I was surprised. I can't say surprised, but you have this persona of who Oprah is. And that is what she said. She said she never chased the money. She went after her God-given purpose. And the money just came. Mm-hmm. It just came. Mm-hmm. And so those of you that are thinking about entrepreneurship, those of you that, if it's hopefully as young adults on this show that are listening, whatever that thing is that you were put on this earth for, you lose track of time. Time is not of any value when you're doing it. People continue to tell you how good you are at it. That is it.
And that's what's so important, what you just said, because so many people, they ask, well, I don't know what I need to do. Like, how do I find that thing? Like, you're saying these words, but I can't, figure it out. And I think what you just said, like, what did you just lose time doing, last week? Like, you just did it. You didn't think about it. Yes. Retrack your steps and figure out what that thing is, and you will find success within that.
And I also think eventually, like you were explaining, and I'm sure I could tell a story, Makeda could tell a story, eventually the dots connect.
Mm-hmm.
Phases of your life, journeys,
Mm-hmm.
things that you've experienced, classes you've gone to, people you've met. We were talking before the show. I'm sure I've seen Ernisha years ago, but things come back full circle.
Yeah,
like
absolutely.
She and I went to the same church.
That's
But
crazy.
the people that you meet along the way, it may not make sense. Things that you've learned or things that you didn't understand why you were learning, or you might have given up, or you got fired from that job, or you left that job. It's a reason why God put you there, because it's certain skills that you were supposed to pick up to do what it is that you're doing. And it's probably, a lot of times I run into people, it don't make sense what I'm doing. You're doing this, you're doing that, you're doing this, you're doing that. Y'all don't understand it. Yeah. But God understands it. And eventually everybody will understand it. But don't live for everybody. You have to live for you, and you have to live for your purpose. And God will show you, and you may make a mistake, and He'll line you right back up to where you're supposed to be.
Yeah. And what you just said about, don't worry about everybody. There was a time where I can recall I literally shut myself off from the world. And everybody said, what about your friends? What about it? And I'm like, I don't need no friends. I don't need nothing. Like, I need to focus right now. And I focused on my business so hard. I was so determined. We getting out of this hood. Like, we're going to the next level. I was so determined. And literally, if it was a 1.5 time span, I'm not even sure, because it happened so fast for me. But I incorporated the business, and then maybe a year later, a year to a 1.5 later, I got my first government contract, and just like that, life changed. So the thing is, it didn't happen until I stopped worrying about what everybody was gonna say. I went through, when I first started in entrepreneurship, worrying about what family was saying, and who she thinks she is, and girl, I heard it all. I'm sure. At the end of the day, I had to just detach from everyone and focus, and it was just us and God, and that was it. And it's like, wherever we going, you better lead us, because I ain't stopping until we get there. So it's absolutely necessary sometimes.
It is.
Wow. I did get someone that was really excited that you were coming on here, and they had a question about your role in the chamber as president of YPN. How has that affected, or how does the chamber help more Black millennials?
So, the chamber, YPN, the Young Professionals Network of Miami, is under the chamber. Okay. So, I don't know, for those of you who are familiar with Broward County, the YPN is usually, nationwide, is usually under the Urban League. Okay. So, our Urban League, many years ago, Bill Diggs was the president of the chamber at that time, and he went to T. Willett Fair, who's over the Urban League of Miami, and asked him for YPN because they weren't active, and he's like, sure. T. Willett Fair has this thing where he believes that young professionals should be active, on his direct board in order to be more successful. So he really wasn't that concerned with carrying on a YPN. So the chamber, over the years, we've got new leadership, and this group of leaders now are so passionate about helping young people reach their goals. So YPN Miami has a $100 membership, $75 if you sign up for YPN at an event. And you get a mentor. I mean, if you're just graduating college, if you aren't just graduating college, if you just want to go to whatever your next level is professionally, and you're like, listen, I need to meet with the CEO of Wells Fargo Bank, or maybe a local president or a local vice president, because I know I can work this position. The chamber will get you a meeting with that person who you otherwise would not have been able to get a meeting with. So, and that's just how it happens. And it's like, we're trying to let the young professionals know not everyone takes advantage of it. It's like you got access to, you name them, you got access to them. And Miami, we're such a small city, and I don't think that, people realize that, South Florida in general. But in Miami, it's such a small city, and while it is, it's small, we're young, it's so much more that needs to be done. So regarding entrepreneurship, like, it's the perfect place to be.
Yeah.
Because if you got a solution, there's definitely a problem that needs your solution.
Mm-hmm.
And if you link and sync with the right organizations, then you definitely have access to, whoever it is that has that problem. You can be able to meet with them and give them the solution to that problem. So, for me, the chamber, because their question was about me personally. So for me, the chamber has accelerated my career tremendously. When I first got involved, I can't even remember how many years ago it was. It was a lot of years. I joined the chamber as a YPN member, but I would only participate in chamber events because YPN is the young people, chamber the other people. And I started meeting all of these professionals, executives, and it took me to a whole new level. It changed my speech. It changed my way of thinking about business. To have those older people who are in business, just breaking certain things down to me. Like, I remember having a meeting with someone, and they're like, "You need to find out the EBITDA." And I was like, "The what? I don't even know what you just said." But pretty much it's like look it up. Because it's even too detailed for me to discuss right now. But, just really knowing how to outline my financial statements and create those projections and, the business plan as we knew it or as I learned it in school isn't even what the banks need. That's so cookie cutter and they ain't going to get you no loan. Like, what do you need to do in order to get this money?
Yeah.
And that's what it's about. And that's the reason why I absolutely love the chamber and YPN Miami, because while everyone else is more civically focused, YPN Miami is more about their money, and it's about your bottom line. And we believe that we can't make as strong of an impact community-wise as we want to if we're broke. And if our businesses aren't
repeat.
successful.
Hold the line.
Rewind.
Say that one more time.
We cannot make as much of an impact as we'd like to in the community if we're broke. And I think, that to me, that's what was most important, because I'm like, you can do all this activism, but, for example, they just took the kids, to the march.
To Washington, yes.
When the kids in Parkland, wanted to, they didn't have a worry, because as soon as they went through what they went through, millions of dollars was poured into their community. Yeah. And, our kids wanted to go, and Valencia wanted to take a group of kids, and, it's like, okay, well, come on, who's going to donate $500? Who's going to donate $200, $250, So our bottom line has to increase, and it has to happen really fast. And that's what I love about the chamber and YPN Miami, because that's what we're about. And they will literally take you by the hand, and what is your goal? Okay, let's go ahead and create the blueprint that's going to get you there.
So in YPN Miami, what is considered young? Like, what is the cap? How old do you have to be? Is there an age limit? Like, what is...
There really isn't a cap, but I found that most people, once they hit like 40, they're wanting to go with the chamber. Okay. And probably because we've been getting more fresh out of college, when before, it wasn't so young. But now we've been targeting those college age kids as well. We feel like it's our responsibility, especially the students at Florida Memorial, the black students from FIU. We're like, listen, they're graduating, they barely getting jobs. We did a study with the chamber on Miami-Dade County. They have a internship program with FIU, and there were no black students who had internships. But yet the black students from BSU were contacting us, YPN, saying, hey, could you guys help us, get some internships? And we're like, but we just co-signed on the program. And then when we looked into it, not one black student in that entire school had crazy. An internship. So, that's what we're doing right now. We're reaching back, at those colleges and kind of like, let's get these kids up, up to par, because everyone needs talent. Absolutely. So many people in South Florida are like, we don't mind hiring y'all black people, but we just need the people who gonna come and work, even with me and my company. It's so hard. It's so hard getting good, talented people who want to work. Yeah. So, now we just have to do our job, bring them in, train them up a little bit, and, and make that connection.
All right.
That's amazing.
She just gave us a whole bunch of knowledge. I hope y'all listening. I actually, I am going. They're starting a Black chamber in Broward County.
Okay.
And they have they've had a series of events. So the second event is tomorrow, and I'm going to the event tomorrow. Because I'm in Broward.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's fairly new. So I'm going to see what I can see and find out what I can find out. Because it's time. It's time to take this.
Absolutely.
It's time to take Team Shan Enterprises LLC to another level.
Yes.
So
I know a few young people in college. Some had not gone to college, but they have these ideas, and they may not even have the funds to become a member.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any is there any way that, in lieu of the initial membership fee, are there opportunities for them?
Students?
Yeah, for college students
we've
or
been
young.
waiving a lot of the college students' fees.
Wow.
And some other people have been sponsoring some of their fees as well. But yeah, they don't have any worries with us. We just did an event with Florida Memorial students.
Okay.
And it was actually a Black Panther movie watching and then discussion dinner. And all of those students were super excited, super motivated, because success just seems so far away. Not only do they not know anyone, or a lot of them don't know anyone in their immediate families who have reached any level of success, college, let alone entrepreneurship, or any type of corporate job. But even within their immediate environment, school-wise, they're when our friends graduate, they're struggling to find jobs.
Mm-hmm.
So we met with them and inspired them, and honey, they would not leave that dinner. I'm like, you guys got to go, your bus is back here. But, for them, it was just about hearing that it's possible. And
that's wonderful.
They started coming up with all sorts of ideas, and I've been thinking about an app, and where can I go for this? And we just sat there with a couple of them and just created the blueprint right then and there on the spot.
That's
amazing. That is amazing.
That's amazing.
I teach elementary school, and they're already trying to think of ways to start their own businesses.
They're brilliant. They just need the support. And in our community, because that's where a lot of us have not went yet, we as parents don't have the capacity to help them get where we can't even imagine going. One of my friends, she's not in Miami anymore, but her thing is my son is brilliant, and he's telling me or teaching me about cryptocurrency and entrepreneurship, and I don't want to dampen his light, because for me, I'm you gotta be realistic. And I hear you talking, and you're well, he is being realistic. I'm not being real. I can only go as far as my reality, and I think that's what the problem is with us, with our kids. They're brilliant. We just have to figure out how to get them the support they need.
They're brilliant. They just don't know how to connect the dots.
Mm-hmm.
They don't. It's a blessing in a sense, but then it's also they don't understand the hard work that comes along with it. They just want it right now.
Oh, this is definitely the right now generation.
Yes, they want it right now. Why can't I have it right now? They don't understand the groundwork. They don't understand why it's still important to read, why it's still important to write, why it's still important to know your math facts. They don't get that part. They just want to jump because they see everybody else has it. Why can't I have it right now?
And the truth of the reality is that they're not seeing the work. Yes. They just see the results.
Exactly.
Right.
And so I think I understand. I see my nephew, and it's he is a ball of possibilities. Everything can happen.
Yeah.
And it's hard. It's hard when you personally are going through your own obstacles, and you want to make sure that they understand that the world is their oyster. It's very hard. And honestly, I think there's some historical reasons why we're...
Which it kind of goes back to my decorating moment.
Yeah.
It's time to slow down a little bit. I'm not saying not pursue our dreams, but it's time to, we have all these things that we've learned, and now we're able to start our own businesses, but let's refocus, because the kids that we're bringing along the way, or our family members that we're bringing along the way, they don't understand the process. They don't understand the history. And we need to bring them back home to teach them the history, to motivate them to understand why the blood, sweat, and tears is important and not just the end.
Yeah. I think the Jewish community does a really
good
job at that.
We had this come on one of our shows. We said that.
Yeah, and that's why I think that's what we're missing. It's like we just can't get a grip. We can't figure out how to, make sure that our historical information has significance still while, moving forward. It's like, some people just allow that to depress them and they end up, in this depressed state. Yeah. And no, it's like, no, like let's allow that to be fuel for us to,
move forward. Yeah, you're right. I mentioned that, and I think I had gone to my first bar mitzvah. One of my very good friends is Jewish, and she had her bar mitzvah. We got like a few more minutes. I'm watching it. This is a great conversation. But I went to her son's bar mitzvah, and after I went, we had a show, and I said that, and they have certain days where someone comes, someone in their family who's the elder, whether it's the grandmother, the grandfather, somebody. They have dinner and they talk about the traditions. They never let the traditions and where they come from leave the house. And I think as a black community, that's what's happening. Whereas when we were coming along, I had my grandma. I had my mama to tell me the stories about, even if something like when she pledged openly at Tuskegee University. Like the stories of that's how I know she got locked up for fighting for her high school to be integrated, and she was one of the first black students in her high school. But those are the stories that I grew up on that motivate me. Yes. That when I go to school, I know. Listen, ain't nothing finna stop me from learning this lesson. Yes. And these kids don't have that anymore.
But you know why? Because we stopped telling, the generation before us. And my mother-in-law said it. She's like, I think our generation dropped the ball. I don't know if it was because of shame, and it's like, okay, well, we're all good now, and we can do what we want to do, so let's put the past behind us. Yes. I don't know what it was, but those stories stopped being told. I talked about it on NBC 6 a couple of weeks ago with Jerron Schrader, and it's like those food stories, like, on New Year's, I'm Black American, and every year you eat black-eyed peas and collard greens.
That's right, for good luck, that's right.
And we don't know why. Oh, we know about the luck part, but we probably might have even not heard our family say it. It might have been someone else's family. You're like, oh, that's why we do it. But we don't know that it dates all the way back to the Emancipation Proclamation. And that was the day when we got the memo. And it's like, okay, we free, but all we have to eat is this black-eyed peas. Okay, well then now every year we're going to do the same thing, and celebrate with that. And it's like, no, we got to be a little more proud of our history, our roots, where we come from, why this happened, why grandmama did this, and let's kind of keep it going. Even somewhere along the way we got into this whole health trend, and we want to throw out everything that got anything to do with our historical foods, and it's like, nah, well let's now we're gonna eat this.
I don't know. I was reading somewhere they say big butts are the healthiest. I don't know. I read some article. Listen, it was on Facebook, but it said women with big butts are the healthiest. I'm just saying.
I'm just saying. Eat some cornbread. Yeah. Get your life. Get some
collard greens. Eat some collard greens. Not no kale.
I'm just saying.
Yeah. But no, but it's true. I mean, we're making fun of it, but in the school system as a teacher, I see these kids. It's like they're not motivated. You like and I give out treats here and there, but there are some teachers that give out treats every week. I don't do that. You gotta earn it. I'm sorry. This entitlement generation, no. You gotta earn it. But when we were in school, we ain't need no treats. We understood why we were there. We understood who fought for us to be there. We understood who died for us to be there, to be able to open the book. These kids don't get it. So it's time to make your home your home. Bring it back.
It is time to bring it back.
It's time for what's the plant I said? It's time for that ugly plant that's coming back. I forgot the name of it. But
yeah, I don't remember.
It's time for the pampas grass. It's time for it.
Pampas grass.
Bring it back.
It is. I started a couple years ago, so I homeschooled my son. He went to middle school this year. So I decided to homeschool him. I'm not teaching him, y'all. I know a lot of people think I'm superwoman, but I work smart. So what I did was I registered him in FLVS, the Florida Virtual School System. So he has his own teachers and everything online. But and I did the same thing for my daughter when she went to high school. She was cutting up. But I realized when I did it with my daughter, I did it as a punishment, but it worked so well. She all of a sudden turned into this entrepreneur because you're with me going to business meetings. Yeah, she got a computer and everything, but she's paying attention to what's going on, and it totally transformed her life.
That's awesome.
So I was like, okay, middle school is where I kind of almost lost her. So when my son hits middle school, that's when I'm going to, start with him, and it's working out perfectly. He cried the first couple of months. I just want to be with people and everything, but it's working out so well right now.
Wow.
And he's now turned into an entrepreneur himself. So, and I make sure I drill him on history and all of that. So
that's awesome.
I agree with you. It's time to bring it back home. It's time for us to, teach that history and some things that ain't gonna always feel good, But like I say, you work smart, not hard. If you gotta hire you a little housekeeper to do your work,
girl,
you do what you do and don't feel bad about it. If you gotta hire, send your kids to after school, do what you do and don't feel bad about it. But do what you have to do in order to make sure that your household is straight and that you're raising, kids that aren't being so influenced by, the negativity that's going on. When I saw that school get shot up, I'm just like, this too much.
Yeah, it is. It is.
This is too much. And I just can't. I can't. So.
Okay, so, Sweet Butter. Tell the audience what you want them to know, where they can find you.
Sweet Butter. So the next Sweet Butter will be hosted in June. More than likely the same week as ABFF, the American Black Film Festival.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I'd like you all to find us at Sweet Butter Group on Facebook or Instagram. And follow us just so you can stay up to date. All of the restaurant launches, the brand launches, whatever is up under the Sweet Butter umbrella, you will hear about it on social media first.
Ernisha, this was a pleasure.
This was great,
this
girl.
Was
you can come back anytime. Anytime.
So much fun. It's so cute in here.
Thank you.
Thanks. Well, all up to our
Shinshik decor.
My
purpose. My purpose.
It's so funny because I didn't know you had your own design company, and it shows.
Yeah, it's my purpose. I have a love for decorating, but then I also have a love for, being around beautiful minds and empowering one another. Because I really believe that Black women, matter of fact, I know we are the cornerstone. We are the ones that determine how this world is going to be.
Yeah.
And it's time. The days of, the ratchet behavior, it was irritating me.
Yeah.
I'm just being quite frank. It was really irritating me of how Black women have become so, oblivious to how beautiful we are.
Yeah.
And it was bothering me. And so a lot of my posts on Facebook were about that. About I can't deal with the calling each other BITCHs.
Yeah.
It irritates me.
Yeah.
It really does. So this was a calling. This was again, how dots connect. I went to school for journalism, but I never thought this would happen. God did this.
Yeah.
Makeda, our friendship fueled it, and I'm just letting God move it, grow it, using it as a platform to empower others and to empower ourselves, because we are entrepreneurs, and we're in this together. We're trying to make this thing happen for our community, and that's what it's about.
And I think again, because we have switched our own energies to focus on empowering one another, empowering our communities, that it seems like everything else is following. So I really believe that, it's all God's intervention. So it's coming in,
And thank you for trusting me to come to our little Gurl Cave.
I know.
I love it.
It just, it's a time, I think we have to make a point to set time aside to talk to our homegirls or to empower
Mm-hmm.
one another, because we're all super busy.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Super busy and doing amazing things, and it's just one of those things. Like, I've been in awe of you for a while. I mean, I've seen the amazing
I love it.
I just haven't personally had time to come.
Right.
But the support is real. The love is real. I love what you all are doing.
It's awesome.
And also, congratulations, because your siblings are also entertainers, and I saw the amazing performance that they did. They had at a Jazz in the Garden.
Oh, you attended?
I didn't go, but I didn't get a chance.
It's all over Facebook.
But it was all over Facebook, and they're so talented. And I think,
and her brother was my choir director.
Yeah.
And actually, you're talking about Anthony? That's actually my husband.
So your husband was my choir director.
Yeah. He's the artist.
Okay. But
people don't know because we don't really, I went to school for music. I started out as a music business student, and that whole thing that Cardi B's talking about, you don't expose your life, you don't talk about when you got a boyfriend, when you're married. That's how I grew up. So he's like, you need to stop. Like, people need to know you my girl. And I'm like, no, trust me, it's better for the industry.
No, in this day and time, no, it's needed. I listen, me and my husband she'll tell you, we've had that conversation, but in this day and time, our kids, they need to see it.
They need to see it.
And I think now, because of the Beyonce and the Jay-Z's and everybody is starting to embrace it, but they need to see it because they don't see it. They don't see it.
Yeah.
So then your husband was my choir director.
That's funny. That's awesome.
Yeah.
And they've performed every year. Because I want to say a few years ago, I when I had gone, I remember seeing them perform.
This is his first time performing at it's usually the pre-party. Last year was the pre-party. This year, the mayor's like, we got to have them back at on the actual stage.
Okay.
And then they came back and they were like, how about we, replace the DJ so we can keep the party going? And it was perfect.
That's awesome. They were great. They were absolutely awesome. Well, again, we
are over our time.
We did go over our time, but it was worth it. Again, we want to acknowledge and thank you for taking the time to come.
For having me. This was so much fun.
Oh, good. So we usually end our show off with our.
Well, you can find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on Twitter. We're on iHeartRadio. So when we're finished taping this, it uploads. It's going to be on iTunes, GooglePlay, and iHeartRadio.
We're encouraging you guys to subscribe and share. Thank you so much.
So we always end with this same scripture, Colossians 1:16. All things have been created through him and for him.
And you've been listening to Gurl.
What?